Hello guys, welcome to Major's Carriage. This is Suellio. I'm the crew chief for the Formula 3, Formula 1 and Formula 3.5. Today we're going to see my lap here at Barcelona Moto. So let's go straight away for the first corner. So here, there's a little bit of a space that you can gain if you bring the car over to the curb. As you can see, I'm maintaining my car around here where my helmet is almost aligned with the white line. Maybe you can use even a little bit more than that, but at a certain point here we'll get an off track, so I was just maintaining this very safe line and really trying to keep the car on a straight line even before I start braking. As you can see, this way I can really only focus on braking instead of bringing the car early, or I'm sorry, instead of bringing the car late and having to turn way before braking and maybe not having the car perfectly balanced before you start braking. So this is my first preoccupation here, to really be on a straight line before I brake. And here, because we are braking in two different surfaces, maybe even three, because the car is like a little bit on the curb, a little bit on the green area, I don't want to brake really hard. So as you can see, I'm braking around 65 to 70% here and not maintaining it. As you can see, I brake and I quite immediately start releasing, even on a straight line before I actually start turning, because we lose a little bit of downforce and we lose a little bit of brake performance. So I'm really thinking about not overdoing the braking here. So my brake reference is actually this access road here, but I'm always braking 2 to 3 cars before it. So it's somewhere between the 100 board and that access road that I'm braking. It could be, you could consider it like halfway between both. So yes, I'm doing that, and then I'm trying to turn in not too early. As you can see, I want to really be aligned almost parallel with this yellow curb here. You can see that I'm really making that happen here, and for that we cannot turn in too early. As you can see, I'm turning, really thinking about that, because after it, actually you can see that even one car before I actually hit this or go by it, I am already full throttle, because I want to really rotate the car with the throttle. And then I try to bring my car as early as possible to the right here, trying not to let my car drift too much to the left here, because that will really hurt our change of direction here. So after that, I change direction quite precisely and quickly, but because we are doing that, we are throwing the rear around, so I need to lift a little bit, not to unsettle the car too much, because even if you don't spin here, by throwing the rear like that and oversteering a little bit, you actually overheat the rear tires and the car tends to spin on the next right-hander, so be careful with that. As you can see, I'm using a little bit of the green here, and then as soon as I feel safe and I feel that the car is going to stay a little bit to the left here, not going all the way to the right on the next exit, I go full throttle. So I go full throttle. You can see that my car is not going all the way to the right here, because I want that better line here for the last corner of the sector. And also don't bring it too much to the left, just kind of get a little bit of space so you can think about this corner having a later apex. So as you can see, after that I try to bring my car, and I take a long time until I actually touch the curb. With my throttle, you can see that I'm actually lifting slightly here just to give some weight to the front. As you can see, as soon as I do that, try to see the relation between me lifting a little bit and the front actually diving a little bit more. So there you go. I lift a little bit and the front really dives, and then when I feel that I'm not going to get an off track here, I go back full throttle. Actually, I was quite safe here, but this definitely was not slow. You don't necessarily need to use all this exit here to be fast. I was really able to carry a lot speed uh, through this area here and not necessarily bringing the car all the way here. Then for this next corner, as you can see, I'm really bringing my car to the limit of the off track here, and the limit is this drain in between the green area and the curb. So as you can see, I'm slightly to the right. That's enough not to get an off track. And then I'm trying, the same way, I'm trying to align parallel, but this case I'm not necessarily braking still parallel to it. I'm braking, but kind of already pointing the car slightly to the right, but just a little bit. And then I'm already thinking to turn, but this is again a slightly late apex. As you can see, I'm not touching the curb that early. I'm bringing, and then I'm starting to touch the curb. And again, same thing, you don't necessarily need to bring the car all the way to the left here. You can stay a little bit, like 1 or 1.5 cars to the right. That's gonna be good if you're really at the limit of the grip of this exit. Going to the next corner, just bring the car gently here, and again try to be parallel to the white line before you start braking, and then you brake. So I'm trying to bring my car gently to this corner. I don't want to abuse the fronts here. We're gonna need the fronts kind of mid corner to exit, so you don't necessarily need to bring the car too early here and to abuse the fronts, because then you're gonna need that grip towards the exit and you won't have it. So as you can see, look how I'm really gentle on the entry, and then I'm using a little bit more. About this outside here, you see that I'm using all the green area and I'm not getting enough track. So this is actually specific to this corner. Here on this exit, you will get enough track if you touch the gravel. As you can see, I'm pretty close to that, but I was not touching it, so I did not get enough track. But in other corners, you will get enough track just by putting the car over these white shapes here. So as you can see, this is not the case. This one you can really use. I'm gonna show which corners you cannot do that. For this one, same thing. Try to be as parallel as possible to the white line before you start braking, and then you brake. You can see that I'm actually even touching the dirt here a little bit before, and of course, if you do that, be sure that you're starting to brake only when you're over the curb. If you brake at the dirt like that, you may spin. So brake in a straight line, but then not actually in a straight line, to be honest. I was braking, but immediately trying to turn and releasing the brakes, and of course, because of that, I'm not braking too hard. And really thinking about pushing the car forward at this apex and having your car really close to this yellow curb here. If you hit it, this is gonna be a problem. But if you are as close as possible, you're gonna have a very good and fast line. You can use this curb in a little bit of this green area here, but it's slightly off camber, so it kind of compensates the fact that you're using a better line, and you end up being on a similar speed using it or not. So it's kind of preference, and whichever feels more consistent and easy and doable for you. Then coming for this really high speed right-hander here, this is the case where in the exit you will actually get enough track if you go over to the left with the outside tires from this second layer of the curb here. So as you can see, this was actually the limit of the limit of the limit of the limit, like an inch to the left, and I would have gotten enough track. So be careful with that. This is the easiest place of the entire circuit to get enough track. So about the entry, as you can see, I'm starting to turn slightly after the end of the curb. I even get a little bit of the grass here and dirt, and then I start turning. And as you can see, I'm not actually releasing too much the throttle. I'm releasing as I turn in, so I can give a little bit of weight to the front tires. And then I wait a little bit until I'm sure that when I'm getting back on the throttle, I'm not gonna get this off track here. So this was pretty much at the limit there. I don't want to touch the curb too early. As you can see, I'm waiting and I'm touching the curb only after we go past this yellow curb here. And also pay attention how I'm not abusing the front tires. I'm churning just enough to make the rear rotate. If I try churning more than that, the car will actually churn less and you will get an off track, so be careful with that. And then for this next corner here, I'm starting to brake. My reference is the 50, but as you can see, I'm braking way before that, so I'm always looking at the 50. But you can also use this as a, what is this, a bridge? Yeah, kind of a we always call it a bridge. So I actually, even before that, I'm starting to brake, but these are my references. As you can see, I'm starting to brake, yeah, halfway between the end of the gravel on the right and the bridge itself, on a straight line for a considerable amount of time, because you really need to slow down the car before starting to turn, and being very patient with the steering here. As you can see, I'm turning quite gently, because I want to be aggressive after the apex, not on entry. So whenever you are aggressive on entry, it's going to be more difficult on exit, and vice versa. So if you want to be aggressive on exit, try to be a little bit gentle on entry with the steering, with the rear, trying not to make the car lose its balance before. And then slightly aggressive, not too aggressive with the throttle. As you can see, I was actually squeezing the throttle up to 80%, and only when I was sure that I was getting a good line and a good balance, I would go to 100%. And then I want to be very close to this first cone here for a better line, and then I turn before I start braking. As you can see, I'm pointing the car, and then I'm braking not too hard, as you can see, like maximum 25%, and carrying that trail, braking and looking for this yellow reference here. This yellow curb is my reference. I want to be touching the curb, or at least close to the curb. As you can see, I missed it a little bit here, only at or after this yellow curb. So as you can see, I want to be really patient and only turn in now where I'm already at on the throttle. And here, be careful not to touch the gravel. That will give you an off track for sure. Then this one we can just do flat out. Just be careful not to throw the rear too aggressively, because the car, especially if you get a scary moment here, if you oversteer a little bit here, the car tends to keep oversteering at this area. I spun here actually because of that. So whenever you have a scary moment in the corner before, be careful, because the tires will be a little bit too hot. So just full throttle here, try to touch this curb. It's a pretty easy and flat curb, there's no problem using it. As you can see, I was actually having a slight oversteer there. I had to correct a little bit. And then you can use all this area here and try to be really close and parallel to this long yellow curb here. As you can see, I'm doing that. And after the curb ends, I kind of throw the front quite precisely, not too aggressively, but abruptly, just a little bit, so I can already start pointing and making the rear react to it. So I can lift, brake almost nothing, just load the front with like 1% brakes, and then already punch the throttle again when you feel that you have the line and that you're not going to get the off track. Here it's the same thing. You cannot use all of this green area, you can only use until this second layer of curbs here. So yeah, the lap time here was a 1:34.772, full tank. I mean 21 liters, that is for the race stint. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and see you next week. Bye bye.